Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I'm Christian Stoynev, and I'm pumped up because today is the NFL Draft. We have been waiting for this day for what seems like the last several months. It is finally here. Crazy trades have happened. Teams have positioned themselves and have gotten themselves all ready. They've done all the studying they could do. Probably some of them have overstudied for this draft and have psyched themselves out. And today we get to see what awesome decisions teams make and what terrible, regretful decisions teams make. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into the NFL draft. I'm going to bring up the NFL mock draft that they have up on NFL.com. We're going to go through the first round, see how we see it playing out, see what I think some surprises could be, and just take a look at the headlines too. A lot of stuff has happened. Teddy Bridgewater gets traded yesterday for a 6th-round pick. So he is out of Carolina. He goes to the Denver Broncos, a team that looked like they were going to draft a quarterback. Things are all over the place, and we need to just figure out what's going on here. I know I'm a big NBA guy, but sorry, NBA, we're pushing you aside so we can talk about the NFL because this big day is here. So again, I'll start with the Teddy Bridgewater trade. So Teddy Bridgewater gets traded yesterday. So he was in Carolina. Carolina traded for Sam Darnold, I was blanking on his name, from the New York Jets. And now they had Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, and they had a pretty good pick in the draft. They're slated to draft with the number 8th pick. So people thought that maybe they were going to get a quarterback. So having Teddy there, having Sam Darnold there, they just decided to move on from Teddy Bridgewater. So they traded Teddy Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos for a 6th-round pick, which to me, I don't know why you did that now for a 6th-round pick. You could have traded Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th-round pick at any point from now until the start of the season. So doing it now, kind of confusing here. I would have hung on to him and waited till maybe training camp starts. And if any quarterback for a good team gets injured and is out for a couple months and they don't have a good backup, you trade for Teddy Bridgewater, and you probably would have been able to get at least a 5th-round pick, if not a little bit higher. Depends on how desperate the team is. Say my favorite team, the Vikings. If Kirk gets hurt in training camp and he's out for the first month of the season, would the Vikings have given up a 6th-round pick for Teddy Bridgewater to play those first 4 weeks of the season without having a viable backup? Absolutely. I'm pretty sure they would have done that. They might have even traded a 4th-round pick for that. So very confusing move there. I'm not sure why the Panthers decided to do it then. Maybe it's to give ultimate confidence to Sam Darnold, saying, hey, this team is yours. But sorry, bro, this is the NFL. It's a professional league. You got to earn your keep. You got to earn your job. So there's some shakeup there. Obviously, no one has talked about Trevor Lawrence. No one's really mentioned Zach Wilson because we're pretty dang sure that those are the number 1 picks and the number 2 pick in this year's draft. The Jaguars obviously have the first pick in the draft. Very silent from that camp because everyone pretty much knows Trevor Lawrence is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. The number 2 pick, New York Jets, Zach Wilson. Obviously, a long time ago, people were speculating whether it would be Justin Fields or Trey Lance or Mac Jones, and all that's over with. Zach Wilson is your guy. New York, get ready. That's going to be your quarterback of the future. You traded away Sam Darnold, so here it goes. Zach Wilson, this is your team in New York. Then number 3, here we go, where the 49ers, who traded up to get to the number 3 pick so that what most people think would be their quarterback of the future. There's been reports today that, quite honestly, a lot of this stuff coming out I just think is BS because rumors that they try to offer Garoppolo and some other players to the Packers so they could get Aaron Rodgers. I mean, anybody would offer things up for Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers aren't answering that. The Packers want to keep Aaron Rodgers. That would be, the NFL would turn on his head if Aaron Rodgers got traded today. So that would be insane. So rumors like that, this is coming from Bleacher Report on Twitter. Got the blue check mark. We know Bleacher Report. It says the 49ers have been monitoring Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, but there's a 0% chance the Packers deal their QB. Okay, well, that answers the Aaron Rodgers part. But what about the Deshaun Watson part? Because that also makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you try to trade for Deshaun Watson right now? I would have given up more for Teddy Bridgewater right now than I would for Deshaun Watson. I wouldn't give anything up for Deshaun Watson right now. I don't want him. So just very weird reports coming out. And aside from that, why would you be going after Deshaun Watson when you traded some draft capital to move up to number 3? So again, so that you would select what most people think would be Mac Jones or Trey Lance. And again, I've been saying this for a while. I know it surprised the world, but it wouldn't really surprise me. I wouldn't be that surprised, I guess I should say, if the Niners simply just really like Kyle Pitts, for example, and moved up to 3 to draft a playmaker, because they still have Garoppolo. So they didn't trade Garoppolo when his value was higher. So, I mean, I know everyone's saying they're getting a quarterback. So if this Bleacher Report holds any truth to it, why would they even care about Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson right now when you traded up so that you could draft this supposedly quarterback of your future? So just a lot of mixed signals there, but this is what this day is about. This is what the weeks leading up to this day have been about. That's why it's so exciting. That's why tonight we're all going to be watching and seeing how these picks all play out. So moving on in the mock draft here on NFL.com, the number 4 pick is slated to be the Atlanta Falcons, and they're slated to select Kyle Pitts. A lot of people obviously know that this pick might be up for the trade market, so maybe they're holding on to it for the highest bidder who wants one of those top-tier quarterbacks or wants Kyle Pitts to trade up. Atlanta's a team that frankly needs more than just one playmaker, so who knows what they do. Rumor is that they might take Trey Lance here and have him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year. So this is where things really are going to get, shooken up, and we'll see where everything goes from there. The number 5 pick in the draft of the Cincinnati Bengals. This mock draft has them taking Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon. There have been rumors that they're going to look at Jamar Chase to reunite him with his former teammate at LSU, Joe Burrow. Really, this goes back to my whole theory of drafting. And if I was a general manager, I would draft based on the positions that cost the most money. So to me, this would be no question. I'm going for Jamar Chase here, not an offensive tackle, because an offensive tackle is not near the highest paid position in the league. So I would be spending all that salary cap money on offensive tackles. My whole O-line could be all pro or O-line that I get from free agency, and I would spend big money there. And if my big salary positions like quarterback and wide receiver and cornerback and defensive end I could have on rookie contracts, that's what I'm doing. So this to me would be a no-brainer. You take Jamar Chase, but again, they want to protect their asset. They want to protect Joe Burrow. So they might go Penei Sewell here. But I'm not a football GM. They know way more than me, but I really never understood why you would sign, or to me, it's like drafting a kicker. That's why kickers don't go till the very end, because you can overpay for a kicker and it still be relatively cheap for getting someone that's really good at their position. And that's why the playmakers are usually the ones drafted really high, I believe, because if you get Jamar Chase and he's a stud, in 3-4 years, you're going to have to give him a contract that's going to be top-notch money, probably more money than a 10-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman would cost you from the free agency market. So that's where people think the Bengals are going with the 5th picks. Number 6, that's where they have Jamar Chase falling. The Dolphins, obviously with Tua, could use some playmakers to help him out. So that makes perfect sense for me if it's indeed the Bengals take the offensive lineman. Now, it gets tricky. This is a proposed trade that apparently the Broncos will trade up from number 9 with the Lions up to number 7 so that they could take Justin Fields. So interesting here because, again, they have Drew Lock, who obviously they're out on because everyone has thought that they're going to look for a quarterback anyway. But now they traded for Teddy Bridgewater. So it's very interesting here what exactly they want to do. I don't know why they would now take another quarterback, why they traded for Teddy. But again, I think that's a mistake on the Panthers' behalf because you pretty much traded Teddy for a bag of chips. A 6th-round pick ain't going to be much, especially if you're loaded with draft picks. So maybe they're doubling down here. Maybe they take Justin Fields, as this mock draft says, and they still have Teddy Bridgewater, and they have Drew Lock. And guess what? A team that needs a quarterback or is struggling might give up a 6th-rounder for even Drew Lock. So they could break even here and just switch out Drew Lock for Teddy Bridgewater, have Teddy be your backup, and let Justin Fields take the reins if that's what they want to do. But they're definitely, if they do indeed take Justin Fields here, you have three quarterbacks that, obviously two of them could say one of them has a lot of promise in Justin Fields. Drew Lock has had some moments, not great. And Teddy is a great backup and could be a starter on some squads. So interesting. We'll see what direction. This is also a proposed trade, so this hasn't happened. So maybe the Lions here just, go ahead and take the offensive tackle, or they take a cornerback. The number 8 pick is the Panthers. This mock draft has them taking Patrick Surtain. So interesting there, because Patrick Surtain and Joyce Horn seem to be the two top cornerbacks in this draft, and they both seem to be elite at their positions. And a lot of people think Joyce Horn is the stud here and better than Patrick Surtain, but you can't go wrong. So if you take one of these two guys, chances are you're getting a stud cornerback. So this draft has the Panthers taking Surtain. Then the number 9 pick, which is the Broncos, but in this mock draft would be the Lions, has them taking Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle from Northwestern. I get it. They need help. They want to shore up that offensive line position. They traded for Jared Goff. Maybe you want to protect that asset. Understood. I get it. But like I said, for me, I'm drafting playmakers. I'm drafting expensive positions early, because if anything, when that playmaker, let's say you get a Joyce Horn here and he's a stud cornerback and he's due some big money, you could trade him for a good offensive lineman later from a team that has, a lot of good offensive linemen. And, I just think that you save yourself money here and you build your roster that way. But that's just me. Here, this mock draft has the Lions taking Rashawn Slater. Number 10, the Cowboys has them taking Joyce Horn. Finally, maybe the Cowboys do the right thing and draft position of need rather than just a highlight machine. They keep doing that. They did it last year when they drafted CeeDee Lamb and they did not need a wide receiver. Great, CeeDee Lamb was wonderful, but they still sucked on defense. So at least maybe if they get Joyce Horn here, they're drafting for position of need. Good for them. You pair him up with Diggs, with Trayvon Diggs on the other side, and now you got two great cornerbacks, young guys that maybe are there for a while and can shore up that Dallas Cowboys defense. Number 11 is the Giants draft pick, and this is, again, another proposed trade, which the proposed trades are just, why we can propose so many trades, so I don't understand why mock drafts put in proposed trades, but this has the Patriots trading up with the Giants to take Trey Lance. Obviously Trey Lance seems to be that guy that could go as high as number 3, or he could drop a whole bunch. But it looks like this kid has a lot of promise. People are just down on him because he went to North Dakota State, not a huge, big-time college football program, I guess you could say. Even though they're a good college team, but they don't play in the ACC or the Big Ten. Or the Pac-12, so that's why people usually, I guess, are a little bit out on North Dakota State guys. But, it has the Patriots coming up, trading up to get Trey Lance. Good for them if this is what happens. But otherwise, with the Giants being there, chances are the Giants could take a wide receiver, or if one of those cornerbacks drops, that's a move maybe for the Giants to make. Number 12 is the Eagles. Mock draft has them taking Devontae Smith. I have not understood why people are knocking Devontae Smith and the fact that he weighs 165 pounds. Like, that, to me, is not that important. He is a playmaker. You've seen him make plays. If he weighs 165, guess what? He's going to get in the weight room. He's still 20 years old. That body's going to, mature. That body's going to become bigger, and he's going to be a stud. If he was a stud in college, and just trust your eyes, this kid was putting up numbers week after week after week. The championship game, he was balling, even though then he got hurt. I think he hurt his thumb in the championship game. But Devontae Smith has been dropping mostly because people think he's too skinny. Well, get him in the weight room. It's his job now. So guess what he's going to do? He wants to make a living. He's going to go in there and lift some weights and get bigger and put on some weight. So good for the Eagles if they end up getting Devontae Smith. 13 is the Chargers, has them taking Jalen Waddle. People think he is just like Tyreek Hill, a super quick guy that could just make plays. He went to Alabama, big-time school. People like Jalen Waddle. If the Chargers get him, that's awesome. You match him up with Justin Herbert, and now you got that receiver there. You got Keenan Allen also on that team, and Mike Williams. So I like that pick for the Chargers if they're able to get Jalen Waddle. Number 14 is the Minnesota Vikings. This mock draft has them getting Jalen Phillips, a defensive end from Miami. As a Viking fan, I'm going to pause here and say I hate this. They better not take a defensive lineman here. They need either an offensive lineman, or if one of those quarterbacks drops, take the quarterback, let him sit behind Kirk. Then you can either trade Kirk and save yourself some money and get some pieces back. Or if Kirk is awesome and he proves himself yet again, you can always trade that quarterback that dropped and get another future first round pick and an extra second round pick if you want. I don't know why they would go defensive lineman. I know that they're saying that they need it. Guess what? They didn't have Danielle Hunter all of last season. The guy wasn't on the team. This year, their defense got better. Their secondary got better. They signed Patrick Peterson from free agency. So when that secondary is a little bit better, guess what? Those edge rushers are going to have more time to get to the quarterback. And you have Danielle Hunter, who would be the top edge rush free agency signing if he was a free agent that the Vikings picked up. So I don't understand this move. I don't want the Vikings to take a defensive end. That's the only way I think that this would be a bad draft for them. Yes, they ranked 28th in sacks last season's, but again, just doesn't make sense. They had both interior linemen last year. The guy they signed, I'm blanking, Michael Pierce, that they signed last year, he sat out the whole year because of COVID. So that's two right there. You had Michael Pierce didn't play all of last year, and Danielle Hunter didn't play all of last year. So of course you're going to be 28th in sacks. And guess what? Those guys that got run last year and that were able to play and get some experience, they're going to be better. And now you're bringing in these two top rush defenders in there to add to the 28th in sacks defense. So Vikings, please don't draft a defensive lineman here. Go offensive lineman if you have to, because you have to send the message to this team that you are ready to win now. I don't really like picking offensive linemen that high, but 14 isn't that high of a pick, and you have playmakers everywhere else right now. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. You have the quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Again, so unless a quarterback drops down to 14, Justin Fields or Trey Lance, even Mac Jones, I would take him. Take him. You can always flip him, and then you get your offensive lineman help in the free agency market. But again, I think they messed up because they didn't spend money on offensive line in the offseason, and you could get good value in the draft from the higher paying positions. So I don't know. Vikings, do the right thing. All right. 15 is actually the Patriots pick, but in this mock draft, they traded with the Giants. It has the Giants taking Micah Parsons. Solid. Micah Parsons 2 months ago was slated to be in the top 5, and now he would drop to 15. He's a top linebacker in this year's draft. So I don't hate this pick for the Giants. Their defense has been pretty dang good, and why not add a linebacker that from most accounts would be there and would be an awesome linebacker. So not out on that one. 16 is the Arizona Cardinals. Zaven Collins, the next linebacker up. So linebackers going here. And then at 17 has the Raiders getting Elijah Vera Tucker, who's an offensive lineman from USC. If he drops to the Vikings take him. I mean, this guy apparently was one of the top offensive linemen in college football last year. I don't know why you wouldn't take him and you would take an edge rusher over him. Your offensive lineman stinks, Vikings. So sure that up. The Raiders would be smart in getting him to help Derek Carr out. So that's the 17th pick. 18, the Dolphins have another pick here. It has them getting Kwity Paye, a defensive end from Michigan. A lot of people thought he could go to the Vikings or around that 12 to 14 spot. So if he drops to 18 and the Dolphins get him, I think it's good value. And, at this point, the Dolphins just need to get more playmakers, more guys that can make an impact to build around Tua. So I don't hate that pick for the Dolphins. They have a couple picks here in this draft that I think they could do something with. If they get Jamar Chase, as this mock draft has them getting, and then they get Kwity Paye, solid. I like it for the Dolphins. And 19 is the Washington football team, a linebacker, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. I don't know if I got that right, but, I mean, Washington needs a lot of people. So if this is the guy, I've never heard of this guy, but if he's a good linebacker and he's third on the board, I mean, I think they could use any position. So I would just get best player available here. Number 20 is the Bears. It has them getting Greg Newsome the second, a cornerback. So if I'm Washington, if he's high on your board, if Newsome is high on your board as top players available, you take him. Just take the best player available. You guys need more playmakers. So again, then we move on to the Bears. Bear fans, hold your breath. If you draft a corner, that's back-to-back years, I believe, that you're drafting a corner. You got Jalen Johnson last year. Now you get Greg Newsome. I get it. You're shoring up that defense, and that's great and all. And, I mean, I kind of think the same here. The Bears got to just fill the voids and get the best players available for them. Obviously, their GM and all that front office is getting a lot of heat for a lot of mistakes that they've been making. And so hopefully for their sake, this pans out. But it's not going to, move the needle for them from being just a playoff team to a Super Bowl contending team, especially when they're going to rely on Andy Dalton. So I don't know. Maybe the Bears are a team that makes a move and makes a trade to move up and be able to get one of those quarterbacks if those quarterbacks keep dropping. We go to the Colts at 21. And the Colts, I think, are stacked. Quietly, this is one of the sleeper teams, in my opinion, for this upcoming season. And this mock draft has them taking Joe Tyron, an edge rusher. So if he's there, again, just keep shoring that team up. Get the best player available. And if you could get either an edge rusher or another offensive lineman, this seems to be a deep offensive lineman draft. So if you have a high second-round pick, you don't mind waiting to get your offensive lineman then as well. The Titans come in at the 22nd pick. Elijah Moore, a wide receiver from Mississippi. They lost Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith this offseason. So if you pair him up with A.J. Brown, might be a nice combo. You need to get playmakers there in Tennessee. So I like this move. The Jets at 23 has them taking Clemson running back Travis Etienne. So that's kind of a surprise. Obviously, I would have expected Najee Harris to go as the first running back, but this mock draft has them taking the running back from Clemson. That would be a surprise, but I mean, the Jets trying to give Zach Wilson more playmakers, so I get it, but you better be sure that he ends up being better than Najee Harris. And people think that Najee Harris won't fall further than 24 to the Steelers, but in this mock draft, they have the Steelers taking an offensive tackle from Oklahoma State, Tevin Jenkins, so surprise there. 25 is the Jaguars with a second first-round pick, and it has them taking Christian Darrisaw. A lot of people had Christian Darrisaw going to the Vikings back up with the 14th pick. So if he drops to Jacksonville at 25, perfect. Get him. You shore that lineup. You protect Trevor Lawrence. This would be a huge – the Jaguars would win the draft if he drops here and they're able to get a top-notch offensive lineman, and obviously they get Trevor Lawrence. So that would be a huge win for the Jaguars if the lineman drops that much. Here in the back end of the first round, Cleveland Browns, Jamin Davis, a linebacker from Kentucky. They're looking at some more athleticism there at linebacker, so don't hate this move. I think obviously they're set. They had a great offense, so anything on defense for the Browns, keep adding to that defense. They were a pretty good team last year. They have a lot of young guys, so keep that team improving. So playmakers that you could add, I'm all for. So I would like that for the Browns. The Ravens at 27, edge rusher Jason Owe. The thing is, I've heard that this draft is not great on edge rushers, and I see a lot of teams, picking up edge rushers. So sometimes, just because there's a lot of edge rushers available doesn't mean they're great. So sometimes it might be a position to need, but you might get more value waiting to get one later in the draft, since there doesn't seem to be two edge rushers that are super out there that stand out. So sometimes in a draft like that, the guy that's drafted, the edge rusher that's drafted in the third round, actually ends up becoming the superstar at that position. So that's why I don't want the Vikings getting an edge rusher. There's not an edge rusher in this draft that's the sure best edge rusher in this draft. So any edge rushers that are getting drafted here, it's kind of just a crapshoot. I'm assuming you just hope that they end up being great. New Orleans comes in at 28. Tyson Campbell, a cornerback from Georgia. The Saints, obviously now they're going to be without Drew Brees. There's a change there. And, they have had a defense that kind of comes and goes, but for the most part has not been great. So anything to shore up the defense, I get it. If this kid can become good into the future, why not? And you have Michael Thomas at wide receiver, but I think this year for the Saints might not be as great as the past. I do think they're going to really miss Drew Brees, even though, they've won games without him. Teddy Bridgewater came in when he was with them and won some games for them. And Taysom Hill comes in, and Jameis Winston now is going to be the full-time quarterback, which I like Jameis, but, he's prone to a lot of interceptions. He had a 30 for 30 year 2 seasons ago in Tampa where he threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. So if he's turning the ball over a lot, you better hope that your defense is good and can hold up. So getting a defensive player here is not a bad move. 29 for the Green Bay Packers. Has him taking Dylan Radins, North Dakota State offensive tackle. So this is where Green Bay, that's nice. Aaron Rodgers might appreciate the offensive tackle help here, especially because they lost one of their best offensive linemen this offseason. However, I think you should just get a weapon for Aaron Rodgers. Get him a wide receiver here. I would go from the kid from Minnesota, Bateman. I've heard great things about him. I've heard the Packers have really been scouting him. So this mock draft obviously has them taking this offensive tackle. But if they get him, I heard he's a sleeper wide receiver, might be awesome. I think if I were a Packers fan, that's what I would want. It's the most obvious choice to please Aaron Rodgers. You give him another playmaker. And so that would be great. And then the last 3 picks here in the first round, Buffalo Bills, Asante Samuel Jr. That's crazy because I remember watching Asante Samuel, his dad, playing in the NFL. So, again, Buffalo Bills shoring up the defense. They had a great year last year. The offense is pretty tight. Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen had a great season. So, shore up those positions, get best player available, make your team even better. I like that for the Bills. Ravens come in with another pick here at 31. Liam Eichenberg, a Notre Dame offensive tackle. We'll skip past that. And then the 32nd pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guess who they get? Najee Harris. So, yeah, Tampa just keeps on getting better. So if the Bucs get Najee Harris at 32, that's just crazy to me. Again, I don't imagine he would drop this low. I thought he would be the first running back taken, but we shall see. That wraps the first round, and that's all that's going on tonight. And then the following rounds would be obviously over the weekend, but a lot of smokescreen going out there, a lot of rumors being thrown around, and so I'm going to update Twitter right now before I end this workout to make sure nothing crazy has happened. Vikings over here, Twitter is talking about the Vikings could be in play for Denver Broncos quarterback Drew Lock. It just came out. So again, maybe Drew Lock, you bring him in. Like I said, I literally just said this, that you got Teddy for a 6th round pick. Why not? You're getting him for a bag of chips, and now you can flip him. And guess what? The Vikings, I guarantee you they'll give up a 6th round pick to take Drew Lock and maybe start molding Drew Lock and see how he becomes your backup immediately. So if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, you have a kid who has started in the league before, and you're anxious to see what he could do. And this might be your quarterback of the future. And guess what? I bet you the Vikings would be willing to give up a 5th round pick to the Broncos for Drew Lock. So it's crazy how that works. This is where I think the Panthers messed up. They could have gotten more for Teddy. Again, a 6th rounder for Teddy seems like nothing, especially he's been playing well. He is loved in every organization that he's gone to. And, and he's balled. I mean, when he's come in, he's had pretty good seasons. Last year, obviously, with the Panthers, it wasn't great. But look at the weapons he had. Christian McCaffrey was out for a whole bunch of games. So we'll see. That's one of the rumors that's flying around, and I'm going to take another quick look. But for now, I think that here's a tweet from Adam Schefter. Reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers is so disgruntled with the Green Bay Packers that he has told some within the organization that he does not want to return to the team. League and team sources told ESPN on Thursday. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Aaron Rodgers does get traded. Oh, man, that would be crazy. So stay tuned. I will leave this episode on that. What an exciting day. I know everyone out there that's an NFL fan is loving this day. It's so welcome. Enjoy this NFL draft weekend. Can't wait to talk more football. And at least we have this little pause in the offseason to talk NFL. And then we have to wait again all the way until September, really, to talk NFL again. But, hey, things could get really good. So, anyway, thank you for joining me. Sorry I've been MIA. I had halftime shows again. So, we were performing in San Francisco for the Warriors. And then we went to Orlando and performed for the Orlando Magic. So, that was super awesome. And we're so glad to be back doing what we love to do in NBA arenas. It was very different. It wasn't packed arenas. But at least it's a start. We're very grateful for those opportunities. So life is slowly but surely coming back. And enjoy the NFL draft and enjoy the weekend. I'll talk to you guys soon.